Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to METE on Town Meeting TV, where all our conversations center on disability. Disability, whether physical, intellectual, or sensory, affects millions of lives around the world. The impact is not only on the individual directly. It's affected, but also on their families, communities, and the society at large. Today, we are joined by Dr. Sefakor Pomeyie, an international disability rights advocate, a woman of color, with herself also with a physical disability, but she's fueling, empowering her voice for marginalized groups. She's also the director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion on the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, University of Vermont. Welcome, Dr. Sefakor.
Thank you so much.
We learned from our previous discussions that disability are in two forms. That is the seen, the ones we see, and the ones that are unseen. A question which always pops up and seeks to spark a deeper understanding of disability, to its roots and ways to create more inclusive society. It's all about the causes of disability. So this morning I want to ask, what are the causes of disability?
Well, thank you so much, Auntie Salome, for this discussion. It's a pleasure to be with you again, especially on the topic of disability. As I always say, I eat disability, drink it, sleep it, dream it, and everything about disability. So, causes of disability. We have so many causes which we can categorize maybe in 4 different angles or types. Disability can be caused by illness, genetic disease, and maybe also accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't want to say these are the only ways, but these are the maybe 4 great categories.
Major ones.
Yes, categories that we can connect with disability. And don't forget that the last time we said disability is anything, a condition that causes or that prevents you from functioning. It's a condition, it can be genetics or disease. So anything around these 4 major can be the major causes: accident, illness, genetics, or disease. So in other words, the question that I ask is, if any human being thinks deeply around these 4 causes, everybody must come to that self-realization and understanding that then I have one disability or the other.
Exactly.
That's how I think it is when we neutralize it or we normalize it so that everybody will understand the idea of the causes and the idea of having a disability. In other words, if you have any disease at all, if you have any accident, if you have any illness or any issue of genetics, you have a disability.
I guess discussing this issue has made it more clear for me, because people tend to feel like maybe I wasn't born with any disability and therefore I am okay. So when it comes to the conversations that boils around disability, it's like we sit aloof and then feel like we are unconcerned. But from what you have put up this morning, I have come to realize that we need a more inclusive environment, because nobody is free from genetics, accidents. You don't know what comes up tomorrow. Illness, you don't know what will come up.
Exactly.
And then I'm also thinking about, should we say, could lifestyles also cause some sort of disability?
Definitely. Some lifestyles could cause, and that can link us to maybe medical conditions, and that can generate some type of disability for you. Let's say if you are a chain smoker. Let's say if you are a chain, let me say, alcoholic. Gradually, if you continue, this can lead into one type of disability or the other in a medical condition, or in other words, you'll be treating something which could have been avoided in a way of medical condition. So for instance, we know what it is when you are smoking, heart issues, lung issues here and there. And that can develop into issues of diseases for you. And as much as you are not able to function, it's the way is, if you're not able to function to do something, you have a disability.
Sure.
That is it. So if we understand it like that, you don't need to be affected openly. How do I put it? You don't need to use crutches, or you don't need to.
It's not something that should be seen for people to know.
So that, as we talked about invisible disabilities last time. So lifestyle can also lead us into that type of disability.
Wow.
But what I want to talk about a little bit is how this type of disabilities, as much as they are different, they are part, as I always say, they are part of humanity.
Sure.
So for instance, when we take the medical or the issue of those that we factor into medical, or what we call the neurological disorders.
Okay.
So something around that could be depression, schizophrenia, eating disorder, bipolar disorder, hearing loss, common sensory muscular dystrophy disorder. All those ones, we can classify them to be part of the medical. Yeah. And the genetics, we can say that some common examples are sickle cell, which is very, very common in the black gene.
Sure.
And it is invisible.
Wow.
Yeah, it is invisible because you will not see it written on the face of the person with sickle cell, by its genetics. And they are not able to function to do certain things, right? We have others, genetics disorders like cystic fibrosis. Those dystrophies, also Duchenne, all of them are genetics.
Okay.
We can also classify heart disease, AIDS, all the memory loss, brain functions, all those types, also Alzheimer, all those types, to be part of the illness or the regular illnesses that we have.
So are we trying to say that, or is it the issue that when anybody stops functioning maybe in their normal way and then gets any illness, then there is a sort of disability?
Okay. Now let's look at it like this. When we were young, let's imagine how we were young. We all knew that a me or a b or poop or pee, it's just part of us, right?
Yeah.
You and I, as we are dressed up right now, very beautiful. When you feel like going to poop right now, you will just go.
Sure.
We normalize poop. Is poop nice?
No.
No.
Okay.
Poop is not nice. Nobody wants to associate themselves with poop, but we all carry it.
Sure.
Yes. So that is how we normalize disability. Not that I'm equating it to be that dirty thing or something that we don't like, but that is how easy it is close to us. That is how close disability is to us, as much as poop is close to us. We are carrying it, and we have been able to understand that poop is part of humanity. From childhood, when you poop, your parents let you know very well that this is not good. So that's why when you put your hand in it, they will wash your hand, but it's part of us. We grow up to like it, and as we move everywhere.
And of course, if you don't do it for some time, you are in danger.
Exactly. That is how it is. So that is how, if we can see disability from that angle, as part of humanity, and you are carrying it, whether you are the president or you are the cleaner, whatever caliber of person you have in the community, disability is part of you and you are carrying it. So it can be something visible or invisible, and it can be part of you as much as life goes on. I think if we understand it from that perspective, when something about accident happens, like amputation, let's say you have accident right now, or somebody has accident right now and they are going to amputate the leg or cut the hand, everybody is always what? Traumatized. Why would I? Yes, they are worried. I can assure you there are some people with disabilities also. For instance, if you walk before, like me, walking before, sitting in a wheelchair has been another taunting area that nobody wants to sit in the wheelchair, because the moment you sit in the wheelchair, you are considered to be ill, sick, unproductive. All those things are associated with you, and that has been part of the journey of people with disability themselves, that some category will not even sit in the wheelchair, even though they are suffering, even though walking has been so hectic for them. But that is the problem we have, especially we think that only some people can be people with disabilities, only some group of people. So even within those who are people with disabilities, they still have stigma around, should I walk in a wheelchair, or should I wear braces, and just so that I find myself in the able list, among the able list. I find myself in that group that is able. I am not able to associate myself with those who are sitting. Do you get how deep the stigma has rooted?
Even somebody with some sort of disability wants to also do something extra to look like they're able. So what you and I are doing right now is to normalize disability, that whatever it is, if people understand it from that angle, that this type of disability can be part of me. What I always say is, at times, the questions that we have to ask ourselves is, because we are talking about causes, can this happen to me? Yes, it can. It's not, it can. It's already in you. You have it already. But maybe you don't know which type you have, and also you don't know when you will have it. Those are some of the questions. Do you have a disability? Yes. Ordinarily, any ordinary person that I see in front of me, I know has one disability or the other. It might be visible or invisible. Secondly, it is something that might come when you grow old, which some people understand that, well, it's part of age, right? So for people, some people also understand it's a process of growing. Process of growing. So if you understand that as a human being, you are growing, definitely at some point of your growth, disability will come. And then that is when, but you don't know the type you are going to have. So that's why it is very much necessary for us to demystify disability, dismantle it, and embrace it. When you embrace it that you have disability, it will automatically be part of your life journey. But at this point, then people also begin to think that, is it appropriate and accepted for people to advocate advocate for education, make awareness on measures that seek to prevent disability? If it's normalized, if it's something that we should get to know that it's part of us, and then we should be with it, why would we want people to stand up and then advocate for it?
That's a good question. When we are advocating, we are advocating for maybe things that are not right. One, we advocate for policy changes. We advocate for reformation or recommendations. We advocate for attitudinal change, like people should change their attitude. So I would say that is the place that every advocate or disability rights advocate stands. Why? Because it's about we changing the attitudes, we changing the the perceptions we have about disability. It's about we be intentional. So for instance, if you and I agree that this is part of us as much as we grow, if you don't see anything right now that you have any type of disability and you agree that, well, I might be blind, or well, I might have, or I have this genetics or this disease going on, I am not able to function. And is there anybody on this earth who will say that they are functioning 100% every day?
No.
That's it. So so the advocacy comes here just to educate or create awareness for you to be open-minded and to embrace the fact that you are in this group already. It's not like this group, some people went to the market to buy it, but it's like you are in it. They just have, what I say, they have it in the morning, or we have it morning, afternoon, evening, right? So theirs came in the morning.
Maybe theirs what? Earlier.
So they know that they have one disability or the other. And the reality on the ground is the advocacy that we are doing is to change all those mentality about disability, because we want everybody to come on board. We want you to understand the realities of life so that you don't end up running away from your own shadows. Because a typical example I can share with you is I have seen people who have been in that journey, then when they get to a point and something happens, which might be medical, which they might realize that it's accident or genetic or something, they think that that is the end of their lives.
Then they break down
They break down because the whole thing comes to the end of the world for them. In other words, they don't see anything fruitful
ahead of them.
Exactly. And for a lifetime journey, you need to be progressing. Nothing should stop you as a normal human being, right? Or anybody, as much as you are human being, nothing should stop you. But the moment some people hear that they have something working around disability, or it's a place that they have to maybe take a step, think about their lives and start a different lifestyle, everything changes. So disability is, if it is part of humanity, as easy as we compare it to poop or a me or a being in our language, when you realize it is not something that it's very easy, because it will prevent you from functioning, from doing certain things. And that you have to come to that understanding as a person. But
since this platform is meant for education, and then creating awareness and giving hope to people, we want to be genuine also in our submissions and discussions. Should it be like, as much as people will have to accept disability, that it's part of our humanity and therefore we must open up for it? Is it really too comfortable? Is it a comfortable journey to say that if there was something that I could have prevented from getting into this state, which I didn't do, but I'm now in it, it brings regrets, it brings guilt. Is it so comfortable with disability?
So that's a good question. It becomes very comfortable if you accept it.
Okay.
Because most of us have been on the denial stage for a long time, and that makes it uncomfortable.
It doesn't help,
exactly. That makes it uncomfortable. But if you accept that this is the reality, and I'm not different from other people, other people also have this, it's only that maybe theirs is not showing, right? What makes it uncomfortable is because you don't see yourself being a person with disability.
Okay, you deny it.
You deny it.
Denial.
In this life as we are, everything that happens to us, when you are at the denial stage, you will realize that your life gets stuck. You can't progress because you are denying the realities on the ground. But that is what it is. I can tell you my own story. When I became paralyzed at that age 8, as it is in my book, I'm able. As a Christian, I was also taken to churches, right? They prayed for me.
To be prayed for.
Exactly. We passed through the spiritual aspect. We passed through the medical process. We passed through so many ways for me to walk again. Okay. And that process was really intense. Every morning, my mom would carry me to the church. I believe that I am healed before I'm here. Why? Because I wasn't sitting down those days. Okay. I was bedridden. I was lying down on my stomach.
Wow.
So the fact that I'm able to sit down,
okay.
or even walk with braces, or even sit down on a wheelchair, that is healing for me.
Okay.
I have accepted it that I am healed by those processes. Now, there was a day my mom called me and told me that this is what God has done for us.
Okay.
Now that you can sit down, because sitting down was a big deal.
Wow.
So sitting down, for me, it's a big piece for me in my life.
That there's some kind of progress in your life.
Yeah, that is one thing, because I believe that as much as I went through all those ordeal, the physiotherapy helped, the prayer helped, everything that came together for me made me who I am today. Imagine, because this is what we face in our land most of the time, because imagine if I should be thinking that one day I'll still stand up again and jump and walk again. Let's say, I'm not saying that I don't believe in miracles, right? Miracles can happen. But one thing that I also believe is I am healed, because in the Bible, which I believe, it tells me that some of us will be like this, will be the disabled and glorify God.
Okay.
We are tools that God will use. That is my belief. Now imagine that if I don't hold on to that I'm a creation of God. That is one thing that I believe strongly, that I'm not a cursed object.
You then have to live in denial for the rest of your life.
Because every day, and it happened to me before.
Okay.
Every day I will wake up and be thinking that I will jump up and walk again. But at that moment when I was told that this is it, that is the reality.
You need to accept it
I
and
need
embrace
to
it
move forward.
and move forward.
And because sitting down too, it's part of a journey in a human's life. And when I accepted that, okay, this is how it will be. I will not be able to walk again, but I can still be productive.
Wow.
Unlike what the culture tells us, that we are useless, right?
In fact, not to flatter you, when I had to go through your resume and then your profile on the web, I was like, wow. I kept wowing myself as I was reading through, because it made me really understand that then disability is truly not an inability. It's about the state of mind, it's about your psychic, it's about your frame up, it's about your worldview, it's about your point of view, it's about your concepts of life and how you perceive life. So as we making you understand, and as I have Dr. Sefakor with me here right on Town Meeting TV here in Burlington, we want to tell you all over the world, wherever you are watching us, that our discussions on disability is to empower you, get out of self-denial, and those of us who also have families with people that are disabled, let us empower them so that they leave their self-denial state and then get into the state of progression. Before we go, that will be my last question for this segment. Looking at the global landscape, are there certain areas that disabilities are higher, and what are maybe the main reasons that will cause that?
Yeah, looking at disability globally, it's very clear that the Global South has a lot of people with disability, or the percentage is higher.
Okay.
Why? Because when you compare that to this side, there are so many things that they have put in place.
Okay.
Resources are available to take care of people. Policies are changed.
Sure.
Practical actions are taken. In other words, it's not like policies just written. So they make sure that things are put in place. For instance, if you and I are talking about medical right now, definitely we don't have some of the hospital even to diagnose the type of genetics problems we have. So that is a typical example. We don't even have the medicine, even if you are diagnosed. for treatment. So it complicates the issues of the people with disabilities in the global south. Wow. So generally, that is where our advocacy is really focused on, to let people understand the concepts that disability is about and how they can easily be able to take care of themselves, especially when they tell you that this type of disability you have, you can maybe eat well, you can maybe do exercise, you can maybe do something to live a normal, as much as normal is in quotes, because there's nothing normal. They are a life, an independent life with dignity. Okay. So the global south has a lot of issues because in the reality, we don't even have names for some of the disabilities that we have.
Sure.
As you know, because we are not diagnosed, especially when you are talking about the invisible disabilities. We are not diagnosed, we don't have the medicine, and even at times you and I can talk about the machines which will do the diagnosis, right? They are not.
The equipment are not there.
They are not there. So it's a complicated issue. So when we put all those things together, research shows that the global south is having high level of people with disabilities.
So as an advocacy agent, I would want you to look into your camera and speak to those of the South. What are some of the things you want them to put up to help, in fact, ease the lives and conditions of families, of those that are directly affected, and then also the families and then the society around them?
Thank you for that question. So, my people in the global south, as much as disability is concerned, it is very clear that we, people with disabilities who have actually taken the lead, should also help or support. That brings me to my organization, Enlightening and Empowering People with Disabilities in Africa. What we do is to advocate for the rights of people with disabilities in Africa generally. And what we do is to empower the youth to be able to vouch for themselves, to let them know that they have that type of life that they can also live with dignity. Don't sit at the roadside to beg. That actually degrades you, it devalues you. And we know that there are policies in some countries that are helping. For instance, in our country, Ghana, we have a policy, we have a council, we have institutions helping people with disabilities. So despite the fact that your family or your parents will not embrace or love you, I want to challenge you to get out from that shadows and make sure that you become something, you prove them wrong. As I always tell my students, to prove them wrong. We want to empower ourselves and make sure that what people think we are, they always think we are negative, we are unproductive, we are useless. Those are some of the words my own dad used on me. I wrote it in my book, I'm Able. And the fact that I wanted to prove him wrong, this is how far it has bring me. It's about a choice. You have to be intentional and make that choice that you are not going to be trampled down about anybody. So people with disabilities in the global south, we have some power, we have some energy. Let's use it for positivity. Let's wake up every morning and think about something that you can do from your own room. Now to the community, if we are trying hard to be or to live that life of dignity and independence, don't doubt us. Don't think that you don't belong to this group of people. As I always say, you are part. It's only that you haven't accepted. And then empower us through any means that you want, be it financially. That is a huge part, because there are so many policies that we don't actually have implemented through funding. So support people with disabilities any will you can in your own small way. Push us forward wherever you can to support people with disabilities, so that everybody becomes a taxpayer, and then the level of or the life of people with disabilities in the community
will get improved.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sefakor. Thank you, our viewers also who joined us. I believe from the areas discussed, from medical to genetics, accidents, illnesses, and even lifestyle, no one is immune to disability. And it's time we embrace the reality and make room in finding solutions, in making life more a pleasant place for us all. Thank you. I'm Salome. I'll come your way again.